Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC. Head to Bet Online today and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the fam, man. Man, what's poppin'? Shout out to the fam. Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. What's poppin'? Good to see y'all, man. Hope y'all are doing all right across the region. We got a snap of bad weather coming here. It's supposed to be snowing. Believe it or not, the last time it snowed down here was like 7 years ago, I want to say. We got a inch or two, a couple of inches, depending on where you were throughout the area, man. But, hey, man, y'all be safe out there. Try to avoid the roads and listen to the reports from the proper authorities dealing with the weather, so you guys know just avoid and stay off the highways. Because it's just to be safe and not put the first responders in any harm's way. That's what it's about. So hope you guys have your supplies and everything, put together for maybe a couple of days. We'll see how it all folds, but we'll be live streaming over tomorrow as well, man. Might open up the phone lines. I have a notification that I'll be putting out, a promotion that I'll be putting out coming up soon for what we'll be doing in terms of programming. But anyway, a lot of stuff going on here, but much love to y'all. Hope y'all doing good, man. Let's kind of get into it, man. Let's kind of talk about some of the latest stuff that had happened and got the shaking and baking since the Lions got knocked out of the playoffs by Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. Guess what, fam? Guess what? The coordinators for the Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, and Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, are very sought out, and a lot of the information, Adam Schefter, Tom Pelissero, depending on who your insiders are, they're all reporting these things as these guys are going to get jobs this week. Now, the first shoe, fell in terms of this next group of hires happened today, as it's been reported by Schefter. It's been reported by Tom Pelissero's on the screen that the Bears are finalizing a deal to hire Ben Johnson as their head coach, and Johnson is set to fly there soon, and contract parameters are in place, barring a last-minute snag. The Lions' offensive coordinator lands with the NFC North rival. So there you go right there. They get a good offensive-minded coach that can work with Caleb. Maybe they can turn things around and build something stable. You know, you got Green Bay there, you got Detroit playing really well. Minnesota had a very popping season. They got a good young coach up there. The NFC North is turning into trying to turn itself around and be one of those sturdier divisions. And Chi-Town is not playing around. They got a good hire in Ben Johnson to kind of work with Caleb to get that situation resolved and build around him. They do have some pieces. They just need the continuity and the leadership. We'll see if Ben Johnson can work in Chicago. Also, just to let you guys know that there are also some information pertaining that they're trying to put together a pretty good staff. And right away, Coach Possum is a good defensive coordinator. He's being looked after. Ben Johnson has been busy assembling a star-studded coaching staff. The leading candidate to become his defensive coordinator in Chicago is former Saints head coach and defensive coordinator Dennis I didn't fail Allen to be there. And also it's reports saying that they're looking at Rizzi to be the special teams coordinator. Also, there's rumors that Sean Payton's looking to bring Rizzi to Denver because they got rid of their guy. We'll see how all that goes, but Rizzi's trying to get a head coaching job in the NFL. So if all else fail, he'll find a special teams coordinator job somewhere. So that's some information on that. Let me get this guy off the screen. But this is the latest stuff that's pertaining to that group of people. Now, what about the New Orleans Saints? Well, I'm just giving you a little roundabout if you hadn't heard. Now, Aaron Glenn, who is one of the Saints' favorite candidates, he likes the Jets. This is well known. I reported that he prefers the Jets over the Saints. Now, this is the latest from Jordan Schwartz says that Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn is scheduled for an in-person meeting with the Jets on Tuesday. And this is part of the situation, right? When we talk about some of these guys that, you look at a guy like Coach Glenn and you say, man, a lot of people like Coach Glenn. He could work depending on, what you're looking at. But like I said, he's scheduled to go to the Jets on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. If no deal is reached, he'll meet with the Saints in person on Wednesday. Now, Glenn also has interest from Jacksonville and the Raiders. Though no meetings are set, the Jets and Saints have been viewed as the front runners. So the key measurement there in terms of the commentary is if no deal is reached. So we'll see what the situation is, because if it's he wants to go there, all indications is that Coach Glenn wants to be a Jet. The Jets won't Coach Glenn. We don't know how it all eventually will work out, but in the end, it is what it is. We'll have to monitor the situation. But regardless of that, and the Jets do like Coach Glenn. They like him a lot. Whether or not he will be the guy, only time will tell if the Saints can get another in person with Coach Glenn. Now, anyway, let's kind of move on to this. The next article of news: the Saints are flying Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka today for a second interview for the head coaching job on Tuesday, per sources. Now, Kafka has been a finalist for 3 jobs in the past 2 cycles. Now a longer look in New Orleans. So Mike Kafka is a guy that the team wants to bring in. They want to get a good look at Mike Kafka and find out if he's the right guy for the job, right? And that's not it. Also, the Saints are bringing in the Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver for a second interview on Wednesday. So Weaver impressed in multiple interviews with Washington and Atlanta last year. Now it is in the final round again, according to Tom Pelissero. So remember, the Saints are bringing in Kafka tomorrow and Weaver on Wednesday. Also, if, like it said about Coach Glenn, if Coach Glenn doesn't come up with a contract with the Jets, then Glenn could be flying in for Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how everything lines up. So we'll see how all this shaking and baking moving forward. So anyway, let's kind of jump right into one of the news topics here. Shout out to the Saints News Network. Bob Rose, Kyle T. Mosley, Brother Hendricks, and those guys. Thank y'all guys for this doing great work. This is what Bob's latest article, and I invite you guys to check it out. NFL coaching reports Saints to schedule second interview with 2 candidates, right? Could be nearing a head coaching decision as they schedule 2 second interviews per report. Remember, Kliff Kingsbury is another guy that the Saints were looking at in terms of bringing in and hiring, but he elected to forego any interviews because he wants to focus on his head coaching. I mean, his offensive coordinator duties, because this team's in the NFC Championship against the Philadelphia Eagles. That needs all of his attention. Perhaps after that, after that break, he gets away from that. This can turn into something big for him because he can basically come out of this thing. If somebody waits for him, and something tells me not all these teams are going to just start hiring all these coaches. You'll have a few that will come out of there, but they'll have at least 2 or 3 that will wait after the season ends or based on what happens in this next round of the championship rounds to see whether or not they can get the interviews that they want. Because Coach Joe Brady is still operating there. He's the offensive coordinator there. He's a guy people looking at. And then you have Kliff Kingsbury, a guy with previous head coaching experience in college and head coaching experience in the NFL, and still a very young coach that has an innovative spirit in mind. So, I kind of favor the Kliff Kingsbury thing. I just don't know if the Saints will be patient enough to wait for him to see what happens after this next round of playoffs. It very well could be that the Commanders could end up in the championship. They can end up in the Super Bowl against either the Bills or the Chiefs. Anyway, let's kind of jump right into this article. New Orleans Saints can move closer to making a coaching hire soon. On Monday morning, Pelissero of NFL Network reports that the Saints will conduct their second interviews with 2 candidates this week, Mike Kafka and Anthony Weaver. According to Pelissero, Kafka, the offensive coordinator for the Giants, will have his second interview with Dolphins on Tuesday. Weaver, the coordinator for the Dolphins, will reportedly have an interview on Wednesday, as we just talked about. The Saints have already conducted initial interviews with Joe Brady, the OC for the Bills, Aaron Glenn, Mike McCarthy. They said McCarthy, Kellen Moore, and Darren Rizzi. So we'll see exactly how all this plays out, man. With Glenn's Detroit now eliminated from playoffs, teams have been in person, may have had the in-person interviews. New Orleans also reported to be interested in Washington offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury and former coach Mike McCarthy. Now let's get to Mike Kafka. A little background on Mike Kafka as we kind of talk about him. He's a guy that has some, I guess Kafka has some reservations a lot of people have about him. To a lot of the Dat Nation, he's a pretty, not a well-known guy. But let's kind of go over who this guy is. Who is Mike Kafka? He's 37 years old, has been a Giants offensive coordinator since 2022, despite ranking 30th in total offense. That's why people are like, how is this guy on the iron with these awful offensive numbers? The last 2 years, Kafka is highly thought of throughout the league. The decorated collegiate quarterback at Northwestern from 05 to 09, Kafka was a 4th-round pick in 2010 by the Eagles. He'd be with the Eagles for 2 years as a backup for Coach Andy Reid. Kafka appeared in only 2 games, both in 2011. He had completed 11 of 16 for 107 yards with no touchdowns and 2 picks. Between 2013 and 2015, Kafka spent time on the practice squad of the Patriots, Jaguars, Buccaneers, Vikings, Titans, and Bengals. He'd returned to Northwestern in 2016 as a graduate assistant coach. And in 2017, Kafka rejoined Andy Reid with the Chiefs as an offensive coordinator. That's in 2017. He was the offensive quality control coach. Let me correct myself. He was then promoted to the QB coach and passing game coordinator in 2018 and serving in that capacity until 2021. Over Kafka's 5 years with the Chiefs, he'd help oversee one of the league's most productive offenses. During his time with the team, the Chiefs advanced to 4 AFC championship games with 2 trips to the Super Bowl and 1 title with Kafka. His numbers are not very impressive with the Giants. a lot of numbers that's way on the back end of the spectrum. The Giants, despite having Barkley, they had Barkley there. He was had injury issues. All kind of stuff was going with the Giants offense. They weren't able to build anything consistently worth anything. So he does have Andy Reid's philosophy, but when he stepped from up under or away from Andy Reid's golden, paradise of what the Kansas City Chiefs offense represented, he did not have the type of success that you would have want someone to have. So I'm not really enthused. I do respect the fact that he has that Andy Reid system, but to me, it's not enough there to say, hey man, let me make this guy my head coach. Not for me. Not enough for me. That's just me talking. I'm not really impressed at all. I do respect the connection to Andy Reid, but in terms of Kafka, the man by himself, away from Andy Reid doing stuff, he took that job with the Giants, and we didn't see nothing popping like talking about. Talent or not, you judge by what you do, and he didn't do that well over there with those folks. So, hey, man, that ain't looking good. Let's move on to the next fella. Let's talk about the next coach, man, Anthony Weaver, who a lot of people believe that this man should have a head coaching job and that he's ready to make the leap to become a head coach in this here NFL, right? Anyway, let's kind of jump right into it, man, and talk about the report on Anthony Weaver, that he's 44 years of age. He was an NFL linebacker from 02 to 08 with the Ravens and the Texans. He was a second-round selection in the 02 draft by the Ravens out of the University of Notre Dame after a graduate assistant job with Florida, the Gators, in 2010, and linebackers coach at North Texas in 2011. Weaver got his first NFL job as an assistant defensive line coach with the Jets in 2012. He spent 1 year in that position before being hired as a defensive line coach for the Buffalo Bills. The Baltimore Ravens brought Weaver onto their staff in 21 as a defensive line coach. He was with the Ravens until 2023. And then Miami hired him as a defensive coordinator. It was Weaver's second defensive coordinator job. Under Weaver, the Dolphins finished fourth in total defense and 10th in points allowed this season. Miami was ninth against both the run and pass while recording 35 sacks and forcing 16 turnovers. So this will be interesting to see just, how this will work with these guys. But the Giants coordinator on Tuesday. For starters, he's the former player. His time with the Ravens in Texas saw him play for Brian Billick and Gary Kubiak. So we won't talk about philosophy. Like, what is the philosophy? We know that Kafka has the Andy Reid philosophy, right? Studying under Andy Reid, his offensive philosophy rolling out. But what about our defensive coordinator? If Weaver's the guy, it would be cool to have a black head coach of the New Orleans Saints. I don't think, if I'm thinking in my history, I don't think the Saints have ever had a black head coach or even a black interim head coach. So this would be new territory for the Saints to hire a black head coach. That would be something else. But, outside of that, he has coached in NFL under Rex Ryan, and the Jets to start as assistant defensive coach. So he played under Ryan when he was with the Ravens. Now with Ryan is of the John Harbaugh tree. So one season later, he joined Doug Marrone as the Bills defensive line coach and then moved to the Browns for the past couple of years to be the D-line coach to work under Mike Pettin. Y'all remember him? That's old school name. Weaver then got a shot to do the same thing with the Texans under Bill O'Brien and then became the team's defensive coordinator. In addition to the line coach in 2020, O'Brien got fired and Romeo Crennel, y'all remember Romeo, took over the interim coaching job. So he had a lot of really good people outside of him being a decent player when he played. Weaver does have a respectable coaching resume and connections and ties to a lot of interesting people. But then the question would be, what would his offensive philosophy be like? We talked about the time with the Ravens with Brian Billick and Gary Kubiak and these offensive systems, John Harbaugh. What is his philosophy? Love to know, as a defensive coordinator, want to be a head coach of the team. What is your philosophy towards the offensive side of the ball? We know he can coach defense. We know a lot of people said he's ready to make the jump to be a head coach. He's a very intelligent person. He's an intelligent guy, just like Kafka is. But, being that both of these guys came from being coaches, they've had some success during their time in the NFL. But the thing is, like with Kafka, watching what he did away from the golden palace of what the Chiefs' success represented, he didn't have nearly even half of that success when he took that tough job with the Giants. And as opposed to Weaver, from a defensive side, he stepped out and has really had really elite level success. But anytime you look at hiring a defensive minded head coach, you have to then quiz them on what's the philosophy or who you're going to bring in to run your offense, because that's what we're concerned about. We know you can coach the defense. That's how you got the interview. But what about the offense? We understand the man understands offense. That's why his defense pile up in the top 10, top 15, and the NFL is stopping him. But what is the philosophy for you doing what you need to do? And like I said, this is a smart guy. You got to listen to some of his interviews. Very smart and intelligent how he breaks the game down. But at the end of the day, it's all about what are you going to do, in terms of getting the team where it needs to be. And like I said, these guys in the second rounds of the playoff, in the playoffs, the second round of interviews with Mickey Loomis and the Saints brass to decide on who's going to be the next coach. So it's going to be interesting to see just how and if the decision will be, if the Saints will just play it safe and ultimately decide on waiting to interview Kliff Kingsbury. We'll see how the Saints line that stuff up as well. And with the Bears job being down, fam, what does that mean for the New Orleans Saints and Mike McCarthy? Well, let's talk about that, man. This is a report that has been hitting. Let me see if I can get that up on the screen for you guys here as well. And shout out to Saints Wire here. John Sigler doing great work as well over there with them. Let's listen. He's reporting, and this came out. This was a tweet here that the Saints are scheduling an in-person interview with ex-Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. Now, Mike McCarthy was looking at the Chicago Bears job. He wanted that, and it was really kind of a surprise when they shifted to Coach Johnson and say, "Hey, man, you want to be here?" So McCarthy's looking at the Saints job as a stop, a destination for real. And a lot of people are saying this could be something that can happen depending on what happens with the Jet situation. So we shall see, man. It's getting down to the nitty gritty, as they say. But anyway, here's the article. The Saints schedule an in-person interview with ex-Cowboys head coach. And let's look at it as it's rumored for weeks, but the New Orleans Saints are finally scheduling a sit-down interview with former Dallas Cowboys coach and Green Bay coach Mike McCarthy. McCarthy previously met with the Bears after his contract with Dallas expired last week. Because he's not under contract with another team, he's free to meet in person without setting up an initial interview, your virtual interview. So Nick Underhill also kind of reported this and broke this down as well, as we'll have an opportunity to see what Mike McCarthy could bring to the table. So here it is, per NFL Football, Nick Underhill, he says that's going to happen later this week with exact timing depending on the weather. A rare winter snowstorm is headed, as we talked about earlier in the show. The Saints are currently planning on interviewing the Giants offensive coordinator Kafka on Tuesday, Weaver on Wednesday, and Aaron Glenn possibly on Wednesday as well, depending on what happens with the Jets. These interviews are capped at 3 hours by the NFL. Some good game right here. They're capped by NFL rules at 3 hours. Excuse me. So while McCarthy could fit in on Wednesday, his meeting may be scheduled later in the week. Inclement weather conditions could force the Saints to reschedule someone here or there. McCarthy is a bit of a controversial candidate, despite ranking top 10 among active coaches in win percentage. He's been cast as a retread, with some family members questioning whether he could rebuild the Saints. And he's talking about with some family or some supporters, he's talking about me. Because I've been throwing that out there. I'm like, man, I don't want these retreads, man. One guy moved from here or there. I know it wasn't just like some people look at a coach and say, hey, man, yeah, he can work here. Man, listen, man, I'm very familiar with what happened with Mike McCarthy in Dallas. Very familiar with it, and I watched a lot of stuff happen. It wasn't all Jerry Jones. A lot of it was McCarthy, and I didn't like, at times he didn't show leadership. At times he acted like he had no backbone. It's just certain things when you have an opportunity to get it right. Because whoever we're going to sign, this guy is going to be here for the next 4 years. So whoever you're going to sign, you got to make sure you do your due diligence and find the right guy that's going to be accountable, that's going to come in and set a winning culture here. Now, I do respect Mike McCarthy's resume. He got a Super Bowl ring and a lot of wins. But at the same time, man, fit is everything. Fit is everything. I respect the resume. I really do. But man, we the 4-year window, we looking to take this team because this team is going to cross over from an older team to a younger team within the next 2 to 3 years. A lot of these old guys are going to get the hell out of here. You're going to have a young team on your hands. So I want a little bit more. I want some innovation here is what I'm saying, family. I don't want somebody that been here, that been in it, a career NFL lifer who comes in right and might be on the back end, like we've done this before where we had an old dick, we brought him in here and, it didn't work. We had older coaches who were successful elsewhere. And then they came here toward the back end of their coaching careers and we didn't have the same type of success. Sometimes you need to step away from the game and kind of reinvent yourself, disappear for a while, reinvent yourself and come back. And that helps. So I'm just not really, I respect Mike McCarthy, but if I'm the Saints, take time and look at all these guys, man. Interview them, interview all of these guys and talk to them, see what they're saying. Anyway, his history with the organization make him an obviously appealing candidate to them. He was the offensive coordinator for 4 years, having worked with Mickey and being hired by Randy Mueller, who is consulting on the ongoing search. But will they cut a deal? Will they make something happen? We shall see. So McCarthy set up officially to come in, and sometimes this week we'll keep an eye out on it, see what's going on with it. Like we just said, there's other guys that's moving ahead to find out what it is. And I'm interested to see what happens because Aaron Glenn is also in play if he doesn't work out with the Jets. We know that that's the guy they want to be the head coach. But in the end, if it's not, more than likely, if it's not Aaron Glenn, it's probably going to be this guy right here. Now, like I said, the court, other guys like the Joe Brady's and the Kliff Kingsburys would love to kind of interview those guys and bring them back and talk to them about this, that, and third. You see what I'm saying? But once again, we got a guy with no vision. Got the team in cap hell peril. Don't know what he's doing. So I'm not expecting a magical decision to call. I'm just saying this guy wants to go with guys and hire guys that he's comfortable with, that he knows. This is an old circle jerk. And it's just what it is, man. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I respect Mike McCarthy's resume, but at the end of the year, we need to keep on looking. Keep looking. So we'll see what's going on, man. But anyway, that's some of the stuff to talk about, fam, on the broadcast. Just to remind you that Coach Glenn with this meeting with the Jets on Tuesday. And if nothing happens or if a deal is not discussed, because this is when it happens, he'll visit with the Saints sometime on Wednesday, if not later on. Tomorrow, the Saints have Mike Kafka coming in for an in-person interview with Mike Kafka to sit down with him and see what he's talking about there. Wednesday after that, it's Anthony Weaver coming in for a sit-down with the Black and Gold to discuss what's going on with their squads. And in the end, man, eventually, and sometimes later on in the week, Mike McCarthy will also come in for an interview with the Black and Gold, and we'll see exactly how that lines up and what happens there, right? All right. So anyway, with that being said, fam, I'm gonna get ready to cut out on that. Listen, I appreciate you guys for being in the stream. I see y'all. Appreciate y'all. Y'all do me a service. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. And by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. I will be going live tomorrow on Snow Day. We'll be talking more about this. We'll kind of dig into this topic more tomorrow. You know, we'll open up the phone lines and see if we can get you guys commentary on some of the action that's going on. We'll talk about all this and more on tomorrow's Snow Day stream. So with that being said, man, listen, let me get out on that. I appreciate y'all, man. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Feel free to show our sponsorship some love in the chat, man. Mint Mobile, T. Chinley, and Bet Online. They got deals going on for Mint Mobile and T. Chinley. All you need to do is go down there, hit the links, and check out the savings that you can save right there for this upcoming year. I know that's got to be something big for the family. Want to save money this year, man, and put it towards something important, right? I know that's what I'm on. But anyway, with that being said, I'm going to holler at y'all on the next one. Much love. Who that to you. Peace.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Say they gon' beat them, say who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them, say who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them, say who that?
Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC. Head to Bet Online today and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoDatDaily.com is your site. The WhoDatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform's store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. Remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who Dat too.